One. Welcome to Talking Stars, where I am your host Darren from Movie Reviews 101, and joining me, fresh from Hawaii, is Mr. Damien Riley from Riley on Film and Riley Central.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Doing well. Got a little snorkeling in. Now I'm ready to snorkel on the movies.
Good. And today we have our very first guest. We would like to introduce Becky from Film and Music Central.
Hello?
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Hi, Becky.
Hello.
Hello. Are you looking forward to today's show?
I'm looking forward to it so much. I've never done anything like this before, so it's exciting.
Good.
Yes.
We've all had these the first show where you just don't know how it's going to go. But you just go with the flow and you'll have fun.
That's right.
Yep.
But today we're changing our format slightly, and we're having our own little entry into the blogathon that Becky is hosting. And I'm going to hand you over to Becky to explain what her blogathon is and when you can find it.
Thanks. So this blogathon I'm doing is called Remembering James Horner because this week, unfortunately, is the 1-year anniversary of James Horner's death when his plane crashed. And I wanted to do something with my blog to remember him. So this weekend, the 24th through the 26th, there's a blogathon where everyone who signed up is going to cover a film that James Horner did the score for. Some are going to talk about the music. Some are going to talk about just the movie. I'm doing both. And it's a great lineup. There's An American Tail, Glory, Bicentennial Man, Star Trek. Someone's doing Titanic. Someone's doing Avatar. It's going to be really great to read all these thoughts about James Horner's music and the films he worked on, because he did a lot of films.
Yes, he did.
Yes, according to IMDb, there's 127 credits in the music department alone.
Yeah,
amazing.
And if you want to find it, I forgot to mention this. It's my blog, Film Music Central. It's on WordPress, and that's what it'll be.
Okay. When I've seen, from when I remember when he passed and all the music that started getting thrown out, most of the music, you don't notice the music until they play the music, if you get what I mean. It doesn't override any of the scenes that he puts music in, I've always found. If you get what I mean?
Well,
Yeah.
Sometimes it does. I'm thinking of Star Trek, though, when I say that. I mean, there's these whole scenes in that film, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, where for me the music is so visible.
Star Trek's one of the ones that was a few years in my memory, so it's one I can't actually remember everything that happens in it. Obviously, I didn't start looking into movies until a bit later, until after I'd seen Star Trek. That's why the music hasn't stuck with me because of it yet.
I think there's a time, when the music should be in the forefront, and then there's a time when you're developing more tender relationships, quiet scenes, things like that, where you really have to have a gift. I think, is that what you're kind of saying, Darren? That you might walk away from the movie and remember some of the music, but it doesn't get in the way of the characterization and the dialogue between the players.
Yeah, sometimes it can also be like the realization scenes, or you can feel the emotion the character's feeling and the music's there. And then if you play it without the voices, you can feel that reaction as well.
Right.
So that's in a few of them. But shall we go straight into our films for today?
Sure.
Becky, I'll let you go first with your first choice.
Oh, Star Trek 2, which, by the way, remains my favorite of the Star Trek films. And I I love the film and I love the soundtrack by itself because both are just gorgeous. And do you guys know this is the movie that kind of gave James Horner his big break?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, he'd done some films before, but this is what really got him big time attention because, you know, in the wake of Star Trek: The Motion Picture doing not as good as it might have done at the box office, Gene Roddenberry wanted to go in a completely different direction, so they wanted a younger composer who might be able to take the sound in a completely different direction. Enter James Horner. And he created this entirely different theme for the Enterprise. And it's really great. I mean, you hear it in the overture, you hear it at the beginning of the film, you hear it when the Enterprise leaves space dock, and it's just gorgeous. And if I could find it, I'd play it for you guys because I could watch that scene a lot, and I just love it.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Well, it's really interesting because really he considered the scores for Star Trek II and its sequel to be two halves of one whole. In his mind, they were one giant piece of music. So, you know, really, Star Trek II, the score was just part one for him. Because I think he was already under contract to do the sequel to this one.
Yeah, looking on Wikipedia, I can see in 1981 he did an Oliver Stone movie called The Hand, and then after that, this movie called Woofin'. Now it's going a ways back, but I think I remember Woofin'. I was 11 years old, but probably not allowed to see it at that time. But he also did a Wes Craven movie, so it looks like he was doing major films, but really 81 was the first time he did major films, and then in 82. Were you talking about The Wrath of Khan?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that would have been it. And then, of course, he did 48 Hours that same year. So, wow, I'm looking on Wikipedia. If anybody's interested in looking at his discography or filmography, it's just search his name. It's pretty incredible. So sorry to break in there. I was trying to get you mentioned that was his first big break, and I can see that it was. I was just curious, when he started making movies, because I thought it was earlier than that.
No, I mean, well, yeah, it was really in the early 80s, and I think I don't have his filmography in front of me. I think there was one.
It's not much before that. Not much. He did a lot of things in school, it says. For, what did it say? For the American Film Institute, he did a lot of music for them. I assume they were his projects in school or something like that.
Yeah. But thinking about Star Trek, he created some pretty iconic moments. Spock's theme, which is it's beautiful. I think he used glass. There's a musical instrument that are literally called glass bowls. Sort of like the effect where you fill a goblet with water and you run your finger along the rim.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he used to create that theme, and it's just... He knew how to capture the essence of characters in these themes. And so...
Just for the heck of it, I don't even know if it will work, but... Darren, would you mind if I tried playing one on my computer? I've brought one up.
You can try it.
All right, let's just see if it works. This is Star Trek's classic themes. It's 31 seconds. Let me just try it again with the speaker. Here it is. Can you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I should ask one of my traditional random questions that I seem to like doing. Do you think with Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, hiring James Horner would have been a risk, or was like a Hail Mary to try and catch up with the music of Star Wars, which was around the same time and had become iconic in its own way?
Thinking. I don't think it was a risk. I mean, really, the playing catch up with Star Wars happened with the motion picture because that was only 2 years after Star Wars. You know, that was Jerry Goldsmith's big challenge, to create a theme that was not reminiscent of John Williams' Star Wars overture. So I think by '82, I don't think that was as much of an issue because Star Wars wasn't as, I mean, we were a year out from Return of the Jedi, so, you know, the original trilogy was almost over. I don't think it was that much of a catch-up at that point.
But if it had turned out badly, do you reckon it could have affected the rest of the franchise?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, music can make music. The music makes or breaks any film. So if Horner's score had turned out badly, you know, considering that the motion picture had a pretty shaky run, if The Wrath of Khan had gone badly, that might have been it. You know, right there.
Mm-hmm.
They might have said, "Okay, we've done 2. It's not working. No more." But thankfully, it did work out good, and we got the rest of the Star Trek films that we know and love.
Yes, and it still is considered the best by most of the community as well. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I always thought it was a shame that he only did Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 3. He never came back to the franchise. Although they did offer him Star Trek 6, but I believe Horner's exact words were that his career had grown, quote, beyond Star Trek, end quote. And so he said no.
Well, looking at the mid '80s, I guess that was about the time Star Trek 4 came out, I would say.
Yeah, 86, I believe.
So I'm just saying, for example, he did Commando, and you think, which was a bit of a risk in its own right. We won't get into Commando, but looking at the films from '85 to '86, like, they don't seem too iconic. Obviously got Cocoon, but I'd just like to point out that the film I saw that first did his soundtrack was The Pursuit of D.B. Cooper. So I saw that. I thought the film was awful, but it was like an episode of Wacky Races. But
Oh, yeah.
I had Bob Duvall.
That's always a good thing.
Yes. Shall we move on to the next film then?
Sure.
The next film is going to be one of my choices, and I have picked one of the strangely reviewed films ever made, in Bicentennial Man.
Oh yeah.
Directed by Christopher Columbus, starring the late great Robin Williams. And for some weird reason, I believe this movie was nominated for Razzies.
Really?
Yeah. Well, Robin Williams got a Razzie nomination for this movie.
Oh gosh, that really touched my heart. I really liked that movie.
I've seen it so many times. And before doing some research before the show, I just found the soundtrack, and I started playing it. And it was like, that scene, I know that scene, I know that scene, I know that scene. Every bit of music, even though I'd never noticed the music, I knew exactly what scene it was that it came from. Even like the final moments, the opening scenes, the montage where he's looking for other androids or andrews.
Yes.
And it's a film I've seen probably the most on his filmography. And mainly because it's just such an enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
I sadly haven't seen it as many times as I probably should, but I do enjoy it very much.
And
It's
obviously,
a good movie. You almost have to see it numerous times because it does represent many lifetimes. And to follow along the first time, you're kind of like overwhelmed, sort of, with everything it's trying to say. My wife has always loved that movie, and I liked it before I met her, but she just loves to. She'll get popcorn and just watch it over and over again. It's one of those for her, and I have really come to see why, because it's a very human movie that says a lot about. To me, it says a lot about what we can do with our 80 years here on Earth.
Absolutely.
But it's a good film. I really like it, and of course, I can't bring the music to mind at the moment, but I think the sign of a good composer is somebody that can just sort of support what the script and the actors are doing. Occasionally come out, be a showboater. Maybe in Wrath of Khan we saw a little of that. But it's also the hanging back, the subtleness, things like that.
I can't recall any of the Bicentennial Man music to mind myself either, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to I don't know what to say exactly. It's just I don't know. I like. I know. I know the movie is very good with tugging at my emotions. The way Andrew's relationships with the family change over the decades. With Little Miss and is it Little Miss's daughter or granddaughter? But he ends up
granddaughter.
Yeah, but he ends up.
Darren, am I wrong there?
That's granddaughter.
Yeah. Yeah, so they go through a lot of years together.
Yeah. The ending gets me every time. Just as he's granted his human status, he dies.
Yes.
That always gets to me.
Well, I love movies that make you realize that it's not always the eternal idea that drives us. Sometimes it's the temporal idea, and he basically could have been eternal, but he chose to be like one of us. I just, it's like a rose. A rose is, he learned the truth of the rose. A rose is beautiful not because it's going to sit in a case and look the same way forever and ever and ever. It's beautiful because we know that they fade. And that movie just reminds me that my life and your life, all of our lives are like that rose. Whatever happens after we die, that's up to you. But while we're alive, Bicentennial Man really reminds me that there's so much beauty in the world and that we can be part of that.
Yes. The tagline is obviously one robot's 200-year journey to become an ordinary man. Pretty much sums up the whole film.
He says, the one thing I haven't done is died. I wanted to do that too.
I always like the different, upgrades he got to make himself human. He got organs and all that, and finally he got his human appearance. And it was always interesting to watch him evolve to the next step.
Yes.
And obviously use that to help the actual humans as well, which brings up obviously the moral dilemma of, do you bring in artificial organs for a human side of things in a future?
Exactly.
But I think we should move on to Damien's choice.
Yes, please. Let me see here.
With our favourite Aussie.
Yeah.
Of the 90s.
Mel Gibson.
Of the 90s, not the noughties.
He's quite a guy. I was really sad to hear all that happen with the ranting and raving that he did, because I just think he's such a talented guy and director and actor, and I always enjoy seeing a Mel Gibson movie. I just try and focus on that. Sometimes people get drunk. They say things they didn't mean. I'm not saying it. I condone what he said, but I really like him. And actually, for the one thing I really like about working with Darren, since I started working with him and just kind of reading his blog more and us collaborating on this podcast, is that he brings up movies, to me that I either had forgotten about or that I had never seen. And I hadn't seen Braveheart in a long time, so I was really glad to go back and look at it. In terms of music, what better movie to look at than Braveheart? James Horner is the composer, and certain names in art evoke respect just upon being heard. When it comes to movie soundtracks, James Horner is such a name as far as I'm concerned. He composed the music for many films, including Titanic and this Braveheart. He was known for using modulation and using chords outside the key, among other creative innovation in music. In layman's terms, that just means he created places in the music where something different happens, something the audience doesn't expect. And this is used often in his scores to build suspense, to create mood for a scene. And though he has passed on, his music continues to touch millions who watch these great films. Responding to music, I think, is one of a few actions that makes us human, like Bicentennial Man learned. Having said that, to look at Braveheart, I'm going to try what I did a second ago, excuse me, and just play something. Actually, let me just say one thing first about quiet dynamics and loud music in movies, and then I'm going to play an example if I can. I hope it works. Did it work last time, Darren?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, I'll just try it that way, even though it's kind of a poor man's THX over here. Let's see. Okay, so here's what I want to say about it, and then I'll play that music. Braveheart is a film about William Wallace, a realistic legend, part from history and part from around the fires of Scots generation after generation. Tall tale, sort of. Because it is set in historical Scottish province, ancient instruments are used for flavor. And so James Horner saw clear to use the ancient instruments, excuse me, that's hard to say, ancient instruments, because he felt it would give it flavor of the time, which is an excellent choice. When Wallace courts Murron, for example, the music is played on flutes and other aged instruments. In other songs, such as the Battle of Stirling, the bellowing modern orchestra instruments appear. The care toward the story is seen clearly in the titles of the songs listed on the Braveheart soundtrack. It is a stirring, inspiring collection of songs that make up the score of the film. You can find it on Apple Music and iTunes to give it a listen. But looks like we have some samples here on YouTube. And so I just wanted to see if I can play them for you now. This first one is the gentler, softer, more soulful, playful Wallace courts Murron. So let's see what it does here just for a few seconds. So you can see there, he's doing the traditional instruments and the music of the time, which is pretty awesome. Some sort of a flute or some instrument that sounds a little bit like the one used in Titanic is heard throughout, so that's interesting as well. Just one more thing to say about it and one more short snippet, and then I'll stop. But I really love this movie. I have so much to say about it. Braveheart is one of those movies that needs a big musical score, kind of like The Wrath of Khan did. This movie, Braveheart, just celebrated its 20th anniversary, and I'll never forget the impact it had on me as a young man of 27 when it came out. Probably the most powerful scene for me comes at the end when Wallace accepts his final punishment. Not a happy scene, but definitely powerful. Sends a powerful message. To be willing to die and even die that way for what you believe in is a powerful message. People love to go on a journey. Movies like Braveheart take us along with the main character. The music of James Horner uses both traditional and modern orchestral music conventions to help the viewer become captivated. When Mel Gibson knew the epic kind of film he wanted to make, he made a very wise choice, calling on the artistry of James Horner. The movie is extremely well scripted, filmed, and otherwise made, but the music is stellar and helps make the film the masterpiece that it is. I just wanted to close my little blurb on Braveheart with the Battle of Stirling. It's a little longer, so I don't know what we'll get here at the beginning, but I'm just going to play a few seconds and see what just to show the variation and the dynamics of his range of doing those fun little dancing elfin type songs and then the full-on battle songs. Okay, wow, that's pretty powerful. But yeah, that kind of concludes what I had to review about Braveheart. It's just an amazing movie. I obviously gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and the music is truly incredible, and it lends itself to the script and the players rather than takes away.
Yes. Sadly, it's something I've never actually seen all the way through.
Me neither, actually.
Are you guys kidding me? I hope you go watch it right after this because it's wonderful.
Well, the English are portrayed as the bad guys.
Ah.
I can't
Well,
cheer for the Scots.
movie. That's not the only good movie where the English are portrayed as the bad guys. But yeah, Longshanks. Yeah, he's the worst there is. You just have to separate yourself from that. It's like watching. We talked about those slave movies. I mean, I have a lot of black kids in my class. I teach 4th grade, and sometimes we talk about slavery, Martin Luther King and stuff, and we have to say, look, this is what the white man did to the black man, and if I were to equate that with me now, then I don't think they'd really want to hear what I had to say. But obviously, that's other people, a different king, a different kind, a different time. Plus, his queen hates him. Make a note of that.
Well, according to the trivia, only 90% of it's fiction. So
yeah, probably.
It's one of those when I was at school, someone used to bring it in to show in our hour classes at the end of the term. So you only ever saw like part of it, so it's never got finished, and it's 3 hours long.
In and of itself, from credits to credits, it is an amazing piece of art. If you have the time, it's like The Godfather in a way. You need to shut everything else out and watch Braveheart. You're going to laugh at him. He looks a little silly 20 years later doing the dancing around in his kilt that he does and stuff. But really, he had a vision for that movie, just like he had a vision for Mad Max or any movie that he's been in and done, directed. I don't think he directed Mad Max, but you know what I mean? He takes control of the character. In this one, he did direct, and it's a very powerful film. I think it has metaphors to our own lives.
Well, selling it to me like The Godfather is going to make me watch it because I hate The Godfathers.
I'm making off. You can't refuse. Anyway, hey, we could do a show on that if you want. You have plenty of people liking The Godfather out there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I like
gotta eat spaghetti and meatballs though while we do it. Anyway, so if maybe our guest could comment a little on that music. That was amazing. Love that music.
Of Braveheart, well, I've only seen a very teeny tiny part of the movie.
Right.
And I mean, you were mentioning the flutes being reminiscent of Titanic, and that's because during the mid-90s, he sort of developed this thing for Irish flutes and that sort of sound. So a lot of his films in, like, say, that year 95 on through the end of the turn of the millennium, you'll hear that sound a lot live.
Right.
So with Titanic being the most notable example.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you make, because I remember that was sort of, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was almost like sort of the new age music was sort of kind of beginning. There were new age radio stations, and they had a lot of that flute stuff going on. I don't know. It's something maybe it's just me.
As I read it, he developed this liking for this Celtic sound that the flutes and other instruments made, and Horner was one of those composers where if he found something that he liked, he brought it back as many times as he wanted, and that's what he did here. And he actually got criticized quite a bit for how often he would repeat elements from one score to the next.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. Well, he was one of those composers who would outright lift musical sections from one film and transfer them to another one that he was working on. From his own, I should say, from his own previous work. I should clarify.
Right.
And
yeah, I mean, the Beatles did that. So, we use old tapes all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I personally never had a problem with him doing that. Film composers have been doing that since forever, you know. I mean, if you have a melody that you think works, go for it.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow. It's going to be really exciting to go to your blog. I think I've been there once. I'm pretty sure I'm following you, but I need to get following you. And then I want to look at some of these write-ups about James Horner that are going to come your way. If you want to look at mine, I'll go ahead and post these words that I've said about him. Maybe I can get mine up there too. But I'd like to read, more about this guy. It sounds like the perfect time right now because you're doing a blogathon.
Yeah. I mean that. Yeah. I don't know.
It's happening. It's happening. What's the dates again?
June 24th through the 26th. So this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And there's no really set timeline of who posts on what day. It's just whoever is posting on that day just links back to my blog so that I get the little notice of the ping back. And
right. And that's a great way to do it.
Yep, and for everyone I see, I'll do a little write-up at the end of the day and okay, this is who's talking about what, and because I've seen other blogs do that for their blogathons, and it seemed like a really great way to keep things organized. And
yeah, it sure is. And sometimes you don't look at certain niche things because you can't figure out what to write on. Now your blog is really a niche thing. Is it on the music of movies? That's it?
That's what it originally started as, but I realized rather quickly that I had made myself too niche, so I will also talk about thoughts on just films in general. So
okay.
I just recently I started if I see a trailer I liked, I'll talk about it.
Yeah, that's cool.
If I've gone to see a movie recently, or if there's a movie I just want to talk about, that's why I started my Random Thoughts series. And I try to stick to the music though as much as possible. Lately I've been writing up on Disney movies. I did Beauty and the Beast. I just finished Aladdin, and which has been
great. I can't wait to go over there and read it.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun because writing just about the songs and stuff. There's hundreds of them.
Yes, there are. Do you know the Love? I think it's called Love song from Maid Marian and Robin Hood.
Yes.
That scene where they're. That's such a great song. I was recently looking for that because I did a review on Robin Hood. I sometimes go back into my childhood and pick movies, and I listened to it on YouTube. I finally found it, and then I put a link of it up on my review. But it was like, it really moved me. I mean, that's a lot of years ago, but it really moved me. It's great. Music can do that.
Oh yeah, and film music, I that's why I chose to study it because it moves me so much.
Yeah. Yes.
And I love Disney's Robin Hood, by the way.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
It's such an underrated Disney movie. No one ever talks about it, but it's a gem.
They better not ever remake that with redoing those songs.
Oh, have you seen the list of remakes lately?
Oh my gosh, a lot of. I just saw the Jungle Book. We're getting off course here, Darren. Is that okay?
Yeah, but still.
I just saw the Jungle Book. Have you seen that yet?
No, and based on, well, my resources are limited, so I'm probably
Yeah.
going to wait until it gets to Redbox. I'll peek
Right.
at it eventually, but I
Well,
was
I
a
have.
little-
Yeah.
I,
Go
I,
ahead.
I was dismayed when I learned that it was all done on a virtual set.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. It looks pretty real. Some of it looks real. The animals don't look as real as what we're used to. It's kind of a Jumanji kind of an animal look, and so I was disappointed in that. But the thing I was most disappointed in, because I love music too. I'm a guitar player myself, and I just didn't like it that there was no music. I'm thinking, this is the Jungle Book. Where's the tunes, guys? And then finally, in pops. What was it first? I think it was "I Want to Be Like You." Maybe there was one before that. I think there's like two songs in it. It's really sad.
didn't the Bare Necessities make it?
I think that's first. I think that, but you have to wait so long. I mean, it's like halfway through the movie. I didn't time it, but it felt like it. And and then Christopher Walken doing "I Want to Be Like You" was hilarious, funny, but the music is nothing like Disney.
Yeah, Louis. Yeah,
Old Disney.
No, Louis Prima. He ain't, huh?
No, he ain't. Good for you. Oh yeah, that's another one that gets glossed over is the Jungle Book. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just an amazing film.
Yeah, man, we're really going off on a tangent here, aren't we?
Well, it's all right. So, Darren, hello there. Turn it back over to you.
He hasn't got any Disney credits to his name, has he? From a quick glance.
Disney usually sticks with one guy. Like they're kind of like a George Lucas. They'll stick with one guy, but I don't know if he does have any Disney songs.
Who,
Oh.
Horner?
Yeah,
Mm,
I don't think
Not-
there is.
not that I'm aware of. The only animated movies he collaborated on were some of Spielberg's Amblin films. So, Land Before Time, American Tail, Balto, all of which I believe are
Right.
not Disney.
Yeah,
Oh.
American Tail was decidedly not Disney. They were really trying to topple Disney's animation at that point, or at least compete with it.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question for you.
Yes.
How did he die?
I did not know this until after his death, but I guess he was a big fan of flying airplanes, and I don't know if we'll ever know how it happened, but his plane crashed in the California wilderness, and there was a big fire, and there wasn't a lot left.
Oh wow! How scary! Well, I hope it was quick, when he went. But
I know. I mean, there's no way to know if it was mechanical failure or maybe he had maybe he had a heart attack or something. There's no way to know. But
he was born in '53. He wasn't that old. He was born in
No.
'53.
no, he wasn't.
It's not too old. He could have had a heart attack, though. You never know. I wanted to see one thing here on the Wikipedia page. It says he was born in Los Angeles, California, which is pretty much, I'm about an hour from there, in 1953 to Jewish immigrants. I mean, wow. What a first line. To be born to Jewish immigrants that came to this country probably with nothing. and just grew up in Los Angeles. Probably looked around at some of the stars around him and TV and movies. And I mean, I don't know his story, but I mean, he really was able to make an amazing life, for all of us. The music that he brought to us.
Absolutely. You know the Magnificent Seven remake that's coming out I think September, that's his last posthumous score.
Oh, I have to see it now. I have to see it. I mean, I have to see it anyway. That's a great, story. But for sure, I have to see it now.
I wasn't going to see it because I think it's a travesty that they would remake the Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, really.
But
they remake everything.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, I could talk for a whole hour on that subject.
Well, you have to come back and we'll do remakes. That'd be fun.
Count me in.
Yeah, all right. She's in, Darren.
Yes, we can do a good, the bad, and the ugly remakes.
All right.
Let's head back onto track on the films we were going to cover.
Sure.
And I hand it back to Becky to introduce her second choice.
Oh yes, my second choice, and it's oh gosh, please don't let me trip over saying this. Cool. See, I'm gonna stutter over it.
I did that earlier.
Krull. Yes, Krull. There, I got it out now.
Krull. There you
go. Krull is one of those films that gets it either gets ignored or underrated, or it's not. I don't think it's given its proper due. I mean, I'm not saying it's the best film ever made, but it really, really tries so hard. Krull came out in 1983, and what they were attempting to do was to blend high fantasy with science fiction, and it almost works. Almost. The drawback of this film is you can see seams in the storyline where they're clearly stitching the genres together. Here's the high fantasy part with the mystical weapon, only the prince can wield it, blah, blah, blah. There's prophecies and magic seers. And then out of nowhere, there's this weird spaceship that comes down. It looks like a mountain. And the bad guys wield, for lack of a better word, laser sticks. They shoot like blasters, but they don't look like blasters. And it's considered some of James Horner's best early work before he really got going in the 90s. And part of what makes it so interesting is, because this is in between Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 3. And if you listen to the soundtrack for Krull, you can actually hear some of the themes that are going to pop up in Star Trek 3. And I actually did a comparison on my own once, and, compared tracks, and they're absolutely right. You can hear, note for note in some places. And I first noticed this film, oh gosh, I must have been a teenager, and it happened to be on TV, and I thankfully caught it near the beginning, and I was just like, what is this? This is so cool. And that was around the time when I was first starting to notice music in movies. And there's one scene in particular, and I'd like to try and play something too if I can.
Yeah, just what I learned is unplug your headphones so it plays out of the computer.
Yeah. And because the scene that really makes me love this film is basically it centers around Prince Colwyn and his lady love, what's her name? Lissa, that's her name. And Lissa's been kidnapped by the evil beast, and she's being held in his spaceship/fortress, which changes location every 24 hours. And and the only way to get to where it's going to be fast enough is to ride these magical fire mares. They're basically draft horses, and they're called that because when they run, flames come out of their hoofs. Pretty, and it's a really cheesy effect. When you're young enough, it looks cool. And during this whole riding sequence, it's called Ride of the Fire Mares, and it's like my favorite early piece of James Horner music. So I'd like to just play like the first part of it if I could.
Please.
All right. Yeah.
That was powerful.
It is. That's from the beginning part where they're all mounting up and then they set off on their big ride. And I
have seen it, but I didn't really pay attention to it when I saw it. I think it was on the house here. One of the kids was watching it recently. I sat down and watched part of it. But now that I have heard that little snippet of music, I want to go re-listen for James Horner's little licks here and there. It sounds great.
Oh yeah, it's really an underrated well, and I've often found that the early works are often some of the most overlooked in any composer's work, and this one really needs a second a second chance, if that's the right word.
Yeah, it is. It's going to get one from me, Kroll. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah. I'm still trying to get my hands on a copy of the soundtrack. It's next to impossible to find.
Have you just looked around on YouTube and tried for parts of it or anything?
Yeah, and so far I have, but the problem with YouTube videos of soundtracks is occasionally YouTube deletes them.
Yeah, right.
And with soundtracks, I always feel better having a hard copy. I don't even trust iTunes all the way. Yeah. Because I always fear that something's going to go wrong and like everything will disappear and I'll have to start over because I only have several hundred soundtracks digitized.
Oh, you are serious. Well, that's what you do. What are you planning on doing? Being a movie critic? I mean, you said you were studying it.
Well, I suppose in a perfect world I would be, but I'm actually, I'm writing my dissertation at the moment, actually.
Gotcha. And I have my master's, but I did not write a dissertation, but I had to write a 40-page master's thesis, so I understand. It's maddening.
But my ideal goal right now is I'm going to end up teaching music history and at the college level, and if I get the chance, I'm going to pilot a film music course, a college course for film music, because I can count on one hand the number of film music textbooks, current textbooks there are on the subject.
Wow, well, you need to write an updated one.
Actually, someone already beat me to that. There's one that just came out last year. But I am hoping to write a book maybe on James Horner someday.
Really? Wow, you're that into him. Well, maybe you should do more than just a 2-day blogathon. We'll get the word out and get more people to submit.
Well, maybe for the next time, because there'll be a next time.
We'll see how many you get. I mean, honestly, I've never had much luck at getting a lot of traffic calling for posts. It's just that for me, what I do, I mostly write for myself, which is embarrassing. But no, I've been doing this a long time, but I don't really have much luck. Like I said, okay, you know what? One time I said, everybody's going to write a diary post. Come on, write it in. And I got like 3, you know. So, but for somebody like this, I was just thinking maybe you might want to give him a whole month, you know.
Yeah, maybe for the next time. I've
Okay.
got. I mean, the other part is I wish I had the time to devote a whole month of blog posts, but between writing a dissertation and real life and stuff, you know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So you're writing the posts, or?
Oh yeah. Well, except for the upcoming blogathon, all the posts are written by by me, except for a few. But if I see, occasionally I find other film music posts and I'll share them to my blog as I find them. Most of them are by me though.
But with the blogathon, you're having, just to clarify, you're having inviting people to write a post about this composer, James Horner, and then link back to you.
Yes.
Okay, so then other people are writing it. So if it doesn't work out and you are writing your dissertation on it, maybe if it doesn't work out as far as the numbers that you're looking for, perhaps you might want to open it up to a month or a couple weeks or something like that. That's all I was saying. Other people writing, not you.
Got it.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's wonderful. I can't wait to go to your blog and really check it out. I remember going there once, and I remember seeing the film part of it, and I thought, boy, that's a niche. That's a brave niche.
Yep. Well, and I'm in an even smaller niche because there's film and then there's film music, and
yes,
I haven't found another film music blog yet.
There you go.
But
there you go.
But if I can talk about Kroll again for a second,
please.
There's do you guys know Liam Neeson's in this movie?
Yes, I remember he's in it. He looks very young.
He is very young.
Yeah, like very young. Like, I don't know. He looks like an 18-year-old. Yeah. He's probably in his 20s, but
it's always cool for me to find that film where before he was the big actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that's Kroll. It's one of those everyone should see at least once for the music, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at some of the artwork for it, how close to a Flash Gordon is it?
In terms of what?
As a watch film rather than the music side.
I don't think I'm not sure I follow the question.
Well, Flash Gordon came out in 1980. This is a couple of years later. Is it the same sort of style of film as what Flash Gordon is?
No.
I know nothing about Kroll, so just the fantasy world just looks like it could be similar.
No, Flash Gordon's a little more over the top.
Yeah.
And a lot more cheesy. A lot more cheesy. Oh my gosh, yes.
It's pretty cheesy, but it's good. I want to go watch it from credits to credits. I haven't done that. So.
What, Flash Gordon?
No, I haven't watched Kroll from credits to credits. I've only seen little pieces of it.
Oh yeah, definitely need to watch this from credits to credits.
Yeah.
You'll see the bits they stole from Star Wars in several places.
Oh, great.
If I remember correctly, there might even be an opening. Actually, it opens with a view of a star field, very a la Star Wars opening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The reason they blended the fantasy and science fiction was, after Star Wars, science fiction films appeared everywhere because everyone wanted to cash in on the popularity of the genre.
Of course.
And that's what Kroll was attempting to do. They just went about it in a very awkward, corny way.
Yes.
Yep.
It's funny when my son, he's 18, I'm 47, but he'll say to me, "Oh man, I saw this great movie, Spider-Man or something," And I say, wow, I could tell that really had an impact on you. And I'll take a look at it like, this is Star Wars. You know? Or you fill in the blank, it's some movie that's been done again, pretty much. Not necessarily Spider-Man. I don't have an example thought of, but it's just Kroll. Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing those parallels.
Well, we'll finish our film discussion with one I think we've actually all seen in Glory, the Civil War movement about the battalion of black soldiers that have to get pushed into battle and have to be the front line with little chance of survival, led by the one reluctant, at start reluctant white soldier or colonel, who then sees how heroic they all are. And I believe it's the final scene which is the most notable part of the music, when they have the final push and you see the sacrifice they all have to make. Is that the one that has the most iconic or musical bit?
Most iconic, that would be, I think, not up for me to say, because I haven't really studied all his films.
I can't really speak to Glory because when I last saw it, I was in high school.
Fair enough.
So it was social studies class. We were studying the Civil War. That's why we watched it.
I just remember it being the one everyone spoke about the most when he passed.
Well, yeah.
But never mind.
I can't remember the music enough to say much, but if it's him, one thing we do know, he studied the music of the time, like he did in Braveheart, and he was into the Celtic instruments, so I'm sure there are some Celtic instruments, like instruments in there. So we know those things for sure, but
I know there was also one scene where it was it was more on-screen music, but there was like an African spiritual scene, and so he must have looked into that music of that particular music area at that time too.
Oh, that's good memory that you remember that. That's awesome. And there is a whole wealth of, they call it the Negro spiritual. I mean, I took a class on African American literature. We studied The Color Purple. That was a movie we reviewed recently. And I read some slave narratives and things like that. Really gripping, powerful human stuff. And a lot of what got those, that poor generation of slaves, what got them through many generations, was singing. They would sing their songs, and I've been working on the railroad is this American song that we sing in school here, and it's about basically the slaves getting jobs and starting a life where they're actually having jobs and they're banging on those railroads. So yeah, there was a lot to study, and I'm sure he did. Now you got me wanting to look at another movie. I got to look at Glory now too. I'm trying to finish 2015. I want to review every movie that came out in 2015, and I've got I think 13 or 14 more, so I'm almost there. But anyhow,
Definitely. Oh, never mind.
How many do you have left, Darren?
It depends what you class as 2015, because
Are you done?
You can never be done because there's too many films that come out. Cinematically.
No Netflix movies. Don't count Netflix movies.
Or the straight to DVDs, or the indies. Just
or the ones you get mailed to you by someone who hasn't created the movie yet.
Yeah. I had that. I've had my first proper copy, so I'm starting to keep up with this year's.
Yeah,
it's hard enough.
That is hard.
I've got through some of the bad ones recently, like Alice Through the Looking Glass and Bad Neighbours 2.
All right, so you need to review them, or you got reviews up?
They'll be in the next couple of months. You know how scheduled I am.
Yeah, that's great.
So we'll finish our Mr. Horner discussion here, and obviously we've chatted a lot about the blogathon, and the website is filmmusiccentral.com, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep, that's right.
if you want to take part, go over and see which films are left that you can steal, as I know a few of them are done. I don't know if you've got a list of which ones have been selected, or...
I can pull up the list.
Yeah, if you can, that'd be great. We'll have it linked in the show, so when people look at the episode, we'll have it. We can link. You're gonna link to her, right, Darren?
Yeah, we put all the details.
Yeah.
I felt like rewatching Casper to see what the music he did in Casper was.
He did Casper.
Oh, Casper is beautiful.
Oh wow.
Oh, if you look up Casper's lullaby, you will cry.
I will. I mean, I don't know if I'll cry, but I will look it up.
Oh, okay. This is the current list of films that have been picked. There's The Wrath of Khan, Once Upon a Forest, Jumanji, Avatar, Cocoon, The Rocketeer, Willow, Titanic, American Tail, Glory, Bicentennial Man, The Perfect Storm, and there's this. It's called For Greater Glory, and I guess it's also called Christiada. It's got like 2 different names. And last but not least, Patriot Games. So that's the lineup as it stands.
All right. Got quite a few.
You got a lot of people. How long were you advertising for people to sign up?
I believe I started in hang on. Let's see, I started in April.
Okay, so you started a good long time ago. All right.
Yeah, because I didn't want to like say for next week, because I know
Exactly.
a lot of people have like a whole list of obligations to other blogathons, and
Yes.
I figured if I gave myself a good window of opportunity, that would give people time to schedule it in. And
You have a lot of integrity, and I wish you well. As I'm impressed. You don't have a Braveheart on there. Maybe I'll submit if nobody else gets to it first. Or did you have a Braveheart? I don't know. Maybe I missed it.
I can't talk. I do not have Braveheart.
Right.
But you are welcome to Braveheart if you would like to talk about it.
Well, let me do it the normal way. I'll just go ahead and go to your blog, and if it's not taken, then I'll grab it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think I found your site through the Lamb. Is that correct? Did you recently become a Lamb?
Who me?
Yeah.
I got mine a couple of weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Me too.
Everyone who seems to site gets the new ones. I just go and have a quick look and press follow, and then start reading through. Because that's the best way to meet all the new ones. I know they took a while. They had a couple of years where they weren't doing many new ones because of hosting and stuff, but now it's back up.
They taught you everything you know, huh, Darren?
Yes, no, maybe. So we'll conclude the show here, and as you've heard, you can visit Film Music Central to take part in the blogathon and go there to check out everyone else who does take part. And where can they find you on Twitter, Becky?
It's at Film Music Central as well.
Yes.
Just one M at the beginning though, so FILMUSIC then Central.
Okay, nice and easy. And obviously, Damien, you're at Create and Innovate with lots of 8s. It's a bit complicated for me to remember how to spell
Just
it.
look up Damien Riley, and you should be able to find me in California.
And
It's Create and Innovate, CRE8, the number 8, NNOV8.
And also, there are
Great.
2 blogs. Is it still 2 blogs, or is it sort of renamed?
Yeah, it's funny. I have a blog, Becky called Riley Central. Use the word central as well. But no, I that's my like kind of become my personal blog sort of for jokes and just stuff, throwaway type stuff, and announcements of the movie blog. But the movie blog is really what I'm focusing on right now. I have the summer off. I'm a fourth grade teacher, so I have a lot of time. But come mid-August, you may see it wax and wane again when the new kids come. But for now, yeah, it's hot right now at RileyOnFilm.com. It's RileyOnFilm.com. That's where all my reviews live.
So go visit those two, or the film site for the films and the other site for the personal stuff.
Exactly.
And you can find me at moviereviews.com, moviereviews101.com, and you guy reviews on Twitter. I'd like to thank our guest Becky for joining us.
Yay!
My pleasure. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for joining us still, and we will hopefully be able to do another composer in the future.
Yes.
And I'll thank you to Damien for being the co-host again.
I love it. I flew all the way here from Hawaii really fast so I could be part of this.
And we hope you come back or make suggestions for our next shows with a few twists and changes along the way. And